Everybody, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, everyone. Let's have a look-see here. I'm gonna see if this is working. It's been a long time. I get to learn all over again how to do all this. It's always an adventure. Yay, it works. Hey, everybody. It took me a minute. Welcome, everybody. So yeah, I was just gonna catch up with you guys really quick. Welcome back, Victory Life Podcast. I'm gonna take a quick Q&A with you guys. So welcome back, everybody. I think this is probably better for like audio, I think, because I just plug the audio to the cell phone. So simple is usually better. And look at that camera quality. All for the price of one cell phone. So I should just sell all my stuff, y'all. I thought about it a few times already. Welcome back, everybody. Go ahead and pop your questions in the chat. I'm going to take any question in the whole wide world. Go ahead and pop it in the chat and let me know. Let me know what you guys are watching from and let me know what questions you have in the chat. And I was just going to catch up with you guys, let you guys know what was up with me, how I'm feeling, all the good things. So let's see. No, it's not just you. Like I was testing things. And I've got a lot of stuff going on, Michael. So it wasn't a big deal. Like I was testing things, and I haven't been on live in so long. I actually realized because I actually did a video. I checked it, and the noise was staticky. Normally, I don't do all that, but I was already recording something, and then what happened was I was like, well, I haven't been live in a long time. I'm not certain that the audience has their notifications on. So I figure, people aren't going to really show up. So I'm just going to go live anyway. And it's fine. I'm not going to edit the video. So it'll be a good check in for people who are the regulars. And the people who are not the regulars won't be bothered because their notifications aren't on. So, but I actually, when I came back on, let me know how the audio sounds now. And also, I actually wanted to test the landscape view for my cell phone. So I'm just testing different things. You know how it is. So I generally don't use this landscape horizontal view, but I was like, I need to start using this view. So I just wanted to like figure that out. So while I was exiting and coming back on, I was going to do 2 for 1 and then manage my landscape view. So that was the whole thing. So I'll do a quick Q&A while you got me. I was testing all that anyway. So it wasn't that random. I was like testing stuff. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys are up to. Let me know what questions you have. And yeah, I'm going to take a Q&A. But now it says, now it sounds, everything looks good and sounds crisp. Okay, boom. So yeah, I knew if I did the simple way that it would work perfectly. So I think less is more. I think I just have to use the good sound system, that little white dongle, and my good mic, obviously. Good mic, good sound system, that one dongle, and a cell phone, and just make sure I get the horizontal view. I think that is actually the new setup. I just can't explain it. I think it bugs me to think that I've got a big old fancy computer, but that computer causes static. That's very strange to me. And my lovely little podcasting streaming device, which is what I used to stream from for the first 3 years, I haven't been streaming from this at all. This thing cost me $1,200, by the way. Welcome to the world of podcasting where nothing is free. Where nothing is free. Your first like year of podcasting, I'm not even gonna tell you how much money I spent, but this thing alone, just one thing, one device, that costs $1,200, and it didn't work optimally. And I'll tell you why. It caused me so many issues because even though it has, I'll show you. I can actually show you. Even though it's got and I don't feel bad telling you this now because I went back to the manufacturer and I tried to like talk with them about the issues I had with the device to see if they would replace it, and they wouldn't. So now I don't feel bad about talking about it. Cause I tried I tried the like corporate way first, but yeah, this, what goes on with this thing is it's got a line, auxiliary line, and it's got a mic line. So your mic is supposed to go here. And then if you've got like a major sound system, it's actually supposed to go in this line in here. It's supposed to go there. But this line in doesn't actually bring the audio in. So you could have like a $2,000 sound system and there's no way to bring the line in. That's problem one. Like, so I spent $1,200 for this device. The line in has never worked. On top of that, so I had to do all these workarounds, which was crazy. This is like podcast crazy stuff, but that's the thing. It was the goal of this was really, I got my handprints all over it now. But the goal of this was to be able to switch my camera angles because I have multiple camera angles, and that was really the whole goal of this device was to have sound system come into a proper device, and to be able to go live from multiple platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It was supposed to do like multiple platforms, and it was supposed to be able to, like, if I just tap it, it's supposed to be able to change the camera angle. So a person who's not podcasting with a big crew needs that. But the line in never worked. So me trying to bring the sound from that sound system directly in was problematic. So I ended up doing a crazy workaround to bring sound into my DSLR camera, and then from the DSLR camera into this device through HDMI. So my DSLR camera has a mini HDMI port, and I brought it in, the sound I brought in eventually through HDMI cable. So that's how crazy I had to be in order to get sound from my proper sound machine. And that sound was crispy. When I say it was crispy, so that like $2,000 sound is not a joke. It's not a joke. So just FYI, when you say something's not crispy, you best believe every time I do a video, I always afterwards go just play, even if it's for 2 minutes, to like double check that sound. When the sound is not crispy, trust and believe there's no one that's more irritated than me, because I've spent thousands of dollars for crispy sound. And if I hear static on like something that costs thousands of dollars, it may upset my mood a bit. It may. I'm not going to say it's going to destroy my day, but trust and believe it used to destroy my mood. So yeah, that's some of the stuff going on here. But yeah, the workaround was to bring things from my major sound system to a DSLR camera. From there, the auxiliary came in, the one that wouldn't fit here. And you're supposed to have, for the crispiest sound, you're supposed to have sound directly from your sound machine mixer to your source. So imagine how ticked off I was that the line in source doesn't work. So I had to route all that sound to a camera, and then out of a camera back here digitally through the HDMI. That's how I got it all done. And I used my computer to play like all the fun music, and that would go also to the camera and out. From the computer to the mixer, from the mixer to the camera, from the camera to here, from here to the internet. So, and I'm a girl who doesn't even know how to use a remote control, but I prayed a lot and asked God to show me how to use this equipment, and He did. So those were workarounds, and I did do research too, right? But these are workarounds because the system equipment didn't do what it was supposed to do when I spent $1,200 on it, and I couldn't return it initially because I didn't open it quickly enough because it got shipped to Dallas. I was visiting Atlanta. I got COVID and I couldn't travel. By the time I could travel again, my COVID was gone, but the receipt, it already had expired. So I couldn't even like say, this is not good, I need to return it. So I was stuck with something with a line in it, didn't work. And no one's gonna spend $1,200 twice. That's not a joke. That's not like a joke. Oh, let me spend another $1,500 because once you add the tax. So yeah, I was like, no, I'm gonna make it work, and I made it work that way. That was interesting. So yeah, that's what was up. So now I don't know. My two cameras, I basically could sell them. I've been thinking about selling them. You know, I just haven't like several times over the last 6 months. I thought I'll just sell my cameras, but as soon as I sell them, I'm gonna need them for something. But I'm thinking just to sell them because all of this, you know, the only time I really use it is when I do when I have guests. When I have guests is when I use it. But if I'm not having guests, then I don't need it. And I don't suspect I'm gonna be like a stream that does all the guest thing. I don't suspect that going forward. I kind of feel um, it's just interesting, y'all. I've seen a lot of scandals in the church, and I don't know if you guys have seen all these different church related scandals, but when I see all those different scandals, I don't really feel interested in bringing a lot of people on the stream because what happens is you bring them on the stream, you cut videos. Maybe I don't feel like I did anything super special, but if I'm trusted and then I bring somebody on and then they have a fall from grace 15 minutes later, then it just makes me look bad. So I just figure they got a microphone, they got a cell phone, let them go live by themselves. I, I don't necessarily want to be involved in all that. And when they have their scandals and their falls, then it's like, oh, he podcasted with her that one time. Is she involved? I'm not Christian TMZ. Don't put me on that. I don't be bothered. Um, yeah, but the sound bugs me. So I already knew that there was some problems. So every now and then I'm like, what is that sound issue coming from? And can it be corrected? Like, what is that? Every now and then I try to play with it and see if I can fix it. I never, my first few years, podcasted from the computer. When I talk about podcasting from the computer, I always meant this one. This is the streaming device. This is the $1,200 device that never quite did what it was supposed to do, but I still use it anyway. But it did give me the crispy sound after I did the workarounds. It did let me change cameras, but you have to remember one camera angle was in HDMI 1, another camera angle is in HDMI 2. So if I switched the camera angles, you know what would happen? The sound would go click every time I switched the camera angle. So when I'm talking, on top of like having to sound halfway intelligent when I speak, I would have to, as I'm talking, if I'm going to switch the camera angle by touching the thing, I'd have to stop talking for a second so that it wouldn't pick up on the click. Because if I was talking and I hit the click while I was talking, in the middle of my word, you would hear like a click. That would drive me crazy. So I'm literally, there's no one that gets more irritated with sound issues than me. And I mean, as I get older, in general, I get very irritated with sound issues. In general. In general. So it doesn't just apply to podcasting. Like I generally like more quiet. I generally don't want a whole lot of riffraff, don't want a whole lot of noise. I generally like quiet. I generally don't want to hear like a lot of like running around screaming children. Mm-mm. As the older I get, the more I just like everything quiet, 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 totally quiet. Y'all, why is my work phone blowing up? It's been blowing up. Like it is Saturday. Whoever that is, stop calling the phone. I don't know what that is. It's crazy. I'm gonna check some of these questions. Oh yeah, I'm taking some questions. If you guys have questions, pop them in the chat. Um, I'm looking at the questions, but yeah, I was actually troubleshooting some sound things and recording something and troubleshooting some things. So I was trying to figure out that sound thing, and I had already played back what I recorded, and I was like, the sound thing is still there. But then I just clicked the button to go live. It was just all as one more button to go live, so I just hit the button to go live, and I knew the sound was bad, but um, I don't know. I didn't expect anybody really to like show up on the live really quick because I haven't been live in so long. So I didn't think anybody's notifications would be on. So I was like, I'm just gonna go live and see, more or less. Does that make sense? So I already knew the sound was bad, but in all my troubleshooting, I couldn't figure out why the computer still does that. I still don't know why the computer is doing that. I suppose I'll never know. I mean, I've tried several times to figure it out, but the solution is to use this again. Um, Transparently, I just didn't use it. I know this works okay for sound. I just can't figure out why the computer has the sound issue. Um, it could very well come down to that I've got power outlet coming from that same dongle where sound is going in. That can sometimes cause static whenever you've got incoming sound, and also, you know, too many things on the same wire can sometimes cause that disruption. That's something I've observed. Even on this one, if I tried to charge this one at the same time I was live, this thing would cause static too. So it could be that the computer's power cord is connected to the same device where sound is incoming. Even though it's not the same port, it may not like that. It may be that if I unplug the computer and let it be powerless while I'm recording, that might make the sound go away. But I mean, whose computer just stays powered like that? That's a good way for the whole stream to go live. Anywho, let me look at some of these questions. I want to, hey guys, welcome everybody. I know I haven't been on live in a long time, so hey. Let's see what's going on out here. Bum, bum, bum. Am I taking on new clients? Yes, I'm taking on new clients. If you need a consult, you just shoot a message at info@victorylifecorp.com, and then I'll shoot you the QR code for the consultation, and we'll get it set up. Let's see. I know. I spend so much money. Like the lesson learned, there is always a lesson to be learned in whenever you do something new. And if I'm giving any advice to people who are outside in the world trying to podcast, my advice is less is more. Whatever you have to go live, just use that. Nobody cares. Nobody cares but you. You guys, in podcasting, my perfectionism came out. So, you know, it did come out. So I over architect it, and God doesn't require, if you're podcasting for the faith, for the gospel, you don't need to over architect anything. All you need is show up with an open, humble heart and let God do the rest. Simple as that. You got a cell phone, or if you don't have a cell phone, go talk to somebody on the street. You don't need to record it. Like, that's my advice for anybody who's going to be doing anything for like online. Just use what you have. Use what you have. If you actually need something, my suggestion is to get like that $30 ring light. Very simple. Very simple. It works just fine. Like, you do need some light on your face. You know, the brown folks, we do need a little light. Okay. So I do have my light, but a little ring light and your cell phone is fine, and a cheap tripod. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. A tripod that can hold not a DSLR camera, but a tripod that's cheap enough to hold your cell phone. And honestly, most ring lights have a contraption to hold a cell phone and the light at the same time. Boom, 2 for 1, done. All you need is that and your power cord, and you're done. You don't even need a microphone. All these people with their little silly little microphones. Oh my God. If I were to say my biggest pet peeve in podcasting are people that hold those like little miniatures, like that miniature mic. No. Like, you don't even need that. For the most part, cell phones are such good quality audio. You don't need this. This is just visual. Now, mine is awesome. So I like it. But how many times have I gone live without it? Plenty. Go outside? Plenty. Is it as crispy? No. But it's good enough. I mean, honestly, like I said, nobody cares. Like, that's the reality. What I realized from doing podcasting, I was a podcasting perfectionist for a couple of years. And then I started just going live from the park and stuff when, I don't know, it's not that I got lazy. It's just that I was in school. It was hard. I was just trying to find the time to be able to talk to the people. And like, I didn't have a lot of time. I was like reading my notes on the way to the park, go live from the park, and I'd read notes on the way back. I was just trying to make best use of my time because I didn't have any time. And so I ended up podcasting at the park. When I used my little microphones at the park, they were all extra noisy and just horrible. And it was what it was. And if I podcasted just with a regular cell phone, it was better. So I found a lot of times technology will get in the way. Sometimes it's not necessarily better, more clear. None of that. It's just something else. Something else. So, but yeah, one, just go live with your cell phone, and if you're gonna be like in your like house, kind of it's kind of small, it can get kind of dark. You know, a cell phone and a ring light. A ring light costs like $35. That's nice to have. You know, I think most people can sow into their own ministry and buy that, even if they wait a few months to save up for it. They got the cell phone, they get a ring light. That's it. That's it. You don't even need a little mic. You don't even those little stupid little mics. You don't even need that. I think a good reason to have one of those little mics is if you're trying to like, if you know good and well your voice doesn't carry. Like for me, I can shout to the mountaintops, you know, so my voice is going to carry. But a lot of people, their voice is not going to carry. And they feel like, you know, and they want to be, let's say you're going to be 10 feet away from your phone. That's what those little mics are for, those little lavalier mics. Those mics are built so that when you're 10 feet or 20 feet from the physical phone, that the mic is close enough to your mouth so that the phone can hear the audio. But if you're going to be 3 feet, 4 foot from your phone, meaning the phone is on a tripod, the phone is three feet from you. Y'all, this is free game. Y'all better write this down. If the phone is 2, 3 feet from you, you don't need a mic of any kind. You don't even require that. You need your tripod, cheap tripod. You can just get a ring light that is a tripod. And if the ring light has a cell phone holder, boom, you're done. You're done. It's that simple. You don't need to move around and all that. You don't need to do all that. If you're going to be moving around, the phone's going to be shaking. I mean, that's the way to do it. Then just be out and about. Like when I go on my walks, I'm out and about. I'm just holding the phone. It's all shaky. But I say, hey guys, I don't feel like sitting. I'm walking. So I'm just going to do it this way. Ooh, update on my weight loss. I feel I lost 20 pounds and kept it off. Round of applause, everybody. Round of applause for God's strategies at work, because all I did was fast and eat meat. Turns out that's all you got to do. It's cheap, it's easy to do, and I didn't even have to hit the gym. So if you're not into the gym, all you got to do is eat meat, eggs, butter, go for walks. You don't have to even go for walks. Like lately, I haven't even been going for walks. So if y'all like, how come she won't just go live while she's walking? She hadn't been walking. So there's no reason to say I'm going live while walking because I haven't been. All I did, I lost 20 pounds, all my doctor weight, let's be honest, because doctor school will put you, on top of the scales in a big way. All of my doctor weight is gone. Round of applause for that. More importantly than she's a doctor, more importantly, she lost her doctor weight. Y'all, that is not a joke. Middle-aged people trying to lose 20 pounds. That is not a joke. I worked out for all year. It didn't work. It didn't work until I went to God's book and did what he said, which is fast and pray. So that works. In case y'all were wondering, how do you do it? Fast and pray. That weight will come off. And so my fast for the week started. It started already at 2:35 p.m. today. I'm going to shoot for 48-hour dry fast, just water. But I typically will hit at least 30 hours. I don't always get the 48 in, but I do it frequently enough that doesn't matter. So I don't push my body beyond what it needs to do. I try to get at least the 30-hour fast in, which gets kind of shaky. But at the end of the day, you guys have to remember, I'm not out here trying to be hospitalized to lose a few pounds. I'm here to do it, get it done, and move on. So I will tell you, you can lose weight by just fasting. If you hate the gym, you do not have to go. You can be a pretty girl, sit up in your house, not even sweat, and you don't have to even cook anything special. Just don't eat on certain days. Boom, done. Boom, done. And I will add the things that did not help me. I'm not going to name the brand because I don't want to get myself sued, but a lot of the electrolyte drink mixes, once I've fasted and I've been eating meat, eggs, butter, what has not helped me is whenever I drink an electrolyte mixed drink, those electrolyte mixed drinks that typically have some kind of artificial sweetener or natural flavors, as soon as I drink that, I suddenly get food cravings, like killer, ridiculous food cravings. This is what I'm talking about. So I've literally broke the fast and like did something, like did some, not when I say break the fast, broke the diet regimen twice since I started, one being today and one being I went out to dinner with like my doctor friends. So those are the two times I broke it. And I didn't even break it bad. I just broke it, right? So, I mean, but every time I break it, I'm like, I can see that unfortunately my body requires this because I'm not much of a meat eater. So this is a really strict regimen, but this is the body that God gave me, so I got to work with it. It is what it is. I'd rather be vegetarian, but and I'd rather eat carbs all day, but carbs make me puffy. It's that simple. So I honestly don't know how anybody can be vegetarian and stay fit. I will say I need more protein. At least I'm not hungry. When I say I don't know how they can be vegetarian, I love vegetarian food. I used to be vegetarian, but I stay too hungry. Does that make sense? And nobody wants to be hungry for like hungry, constantly hungry, because it's the constant hungry that makes you want to crash out, eat whatever. So at least on carnivore, I'm never crashing out. Like generally don't. The only thing that makes me want to crash out really is if I have electrolyte drink mixers that have all of those natural flavorings or stevia, like artificial sweeteners. I don't want to name one sweetener. Artificial sweeteners and natural flavors, which automatically are going to be chemical laced. Whenever I have that, by the next day, I'm having crazy cravings. And I've been able to test that properly. So much so that I used to have all these vitamins that had all these mad sweeteners and things in them, like artificial this, artificial that. I got a bunch of clean vitamins that have none of that, and it's made a big difference. So I will say that. I'm looking at questions here. Let me pop in here, look at y'all's questions. If you guys have questions, pop them in the chat. I'm looking here to see. But Yeah, the fixer in you wants to solve the problem while your laptop is always making noise. I don't know. There's something about it. Like it's kind of like it's not something that I want to solve. It's like it's something that bugs me. So I'm like, why doesn't this work? How come I can't make it work? I don't know. Let's see here. Who can find a righteous person? Question mark. No, the dongle that I do have, the white dongle that I showed you, that one always is perfect. Maybe the old dongle needs to be replaced. That's a possibility. I think it's more likely that it doesn't like to be connected to a device where power is also working out of a nearby thing. Because even in this device, whenever I put the power cord in, then auxiliary static would suddenly happen, even in this one. So I think there's something to do with auxiliary and power that kind of don't like each other. And that may be the same case with my computer. But my computer now is about 5 years old now. I don't know if she can go very long without power. She don't hold up the same way. So yeah. Oh, somebody was asking me about Valentine's Day. So I was looking at another content creator, and he was just posting on Valentine's Day, and he's married and he's a Christian, but his content is not Christian content. So it's not that kind of party. He has a regular like TMZ kind of live stream, if you will. Um, that's what his content looks like. It's just keeping it real. Hold on, guys. I gotta do something here with this light. It was too bright earlier, and now it's like okay. Because I don't know why on this phone, it seems like it, maybe I just got to fix the settings. Hold on. Maybe I got to do this thing. I want to do something to the settings. Let's see. It may mess up for a second, but give me a sec. I wanted to see that. I want to see if I could fix it. But my phone keeps going to see that. I want to see if I could fix it. But my phone keeps going dark. It like hibernates. So, today I'm investigating things. Normally I don't sit, well, let me just investigate this. Like I feel the need to investigate everything. So today is Investigation Saturday. So he was talking about Valentine's Day. Back to Valentine's Day. So he was talking about Valentine's Day, and he like his stream is not a Christian stream. It's not. Basically it's like TMZ. It's TMZ, but imagine if it's TMZ and I'm hosting it and I'm a Christian, right? So he's like TMZ for online, and I don't know. I like his content. It's funny, and he's like a comedian. Imagine the younger versions of like the kings of comedy. Like imagine it young. Imagine you get a 25, 30-year-old king of comedy, but he's married. And so he jokes and crazy. And so, he uses all the bad language, but I could tell what I wanted to point out is, I could tell he was a Christian. I could tell because when he would talk about some things that are like negative worldly topics, you could see his spirit would get irritated with something that was an ungodliness about someone or ungodliness about how someone approached something. You could see his spirit get irritated. So because I saw that bubble up, I know that bubble up. I get that too. I'm like, it's the Holy Spirit. Let's go. So that's number one. I knew he was Christian, but today I got the confirmation that he is. And he's 30 years old. I mean, a 30-year-old Atlanta guy who occasionally talks about God in Atlanta, you a big Christian if you do that. I mean, because in Atlanta, you guys don't know Atlanta. Atlanta is wild. It is absolutely wild, okay? So when you do have a guy who talks about God in Atlanta, they call that Christian. in these parts. Because in these parts, people are so crazy that, it gets crazy. So I knew he was a Christian, but there's something about him I could see when he would get irritated about what the common pop culture behavior would be. So I was observing that, and then he starts talking about, and he's married. To be 30 years old in Atlanta, a young, good-looking guy, and be married, well, you don't have to be. You could just be running the streets. That also says something, because a lot of guys would rather just be running the streets, getting run through, as they call it. But he's not getting run through. He's married. So that's how I kind of knew. I was putting them all together, and he always speaks so positively about marriage and about heading the household, about heading the family. The way those things and the way I could see sometimes the spirit would get irritated with ungodliness, I already knew. That's how I knew. Okay, so there is that. So the other thing that I noticed, he started talking about Valentine's Day, and he brings on he brings up some reaction videos of people and talking about Valentine's Day celebrations, various different women talking about Valentine's Day celebrations. And he's reacting to their commentary and their statements and their experiences. And the experiences really made me sad. I mean, I was really proud of his reactions to some of these things, but the experiences made me sad. But it was just exactly what it is. It is what we call the world. The women were talking about the fact that men would throw out romantic setups, which is all fine and dandy, right? And see, this is where people go, because on the worldly side, this is what's applauded and what's posted on Instagram. And for me, I just see that as a complete perversion of what God calls love. These guys will be like, okay, I love you so much. I want to celebrate you. And they'll throw the rose petals, get the champagne, throw them all over the bed, da-da-da. Here's your cute outfit. And the girls are basically, individually, different women were reacting to their Valentine's experience. And they were all basically saying oh, my guy flew me out. I felt like I did need to have intercourse with him. Then the next person would be like, oh, they did all this thing and, like decorated this whole room all spectacular. I felt like I was required to have intercourse with him. And like you go one by one by one through these women, y'all. I was like, I'm glad I'm not in the world. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for any of it. I don't have time for that. Do you guys realize what is missing in this picture here? It like, do you guys hear what I'm saying? Do you guys hear what I'm saying? These women had a setup of rose petals everywhere, flowers, champagne. Oh, my dude flew me out, blah, 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 this and that. Whatever it was, there felt on the woman's side a requirement in exchange for that setup to give their body. And they did. I don't know how you all feel about that. Like, I don't even have words for it. Young people, you can say no. And actually, you can just walk away. Walk away. You're not going to miss a thing. You're not going to miss a thing. You don't need to post that on Instagram. Walk away. Walk away. This is an absolute perversion of what God considers love. This is a perversion because you get all that on Valentine's Day. Rose petals on the bed, champagne, everything is lit. You get all that. And 2 weeks later, you're getting dumped. After they got your body. That's all I'm saying. What I'm saying is nobody wants to talk about that part. Ain't nobody posting that on Instagram. Nobody's going to post it. They aren't going to do it. They aren't going to do it. But that's the reality of what's happening. There is a very finite time set to that relationship, which is flowers in the bed, champagne in the glass, and whining and dining and getting on your flight. And I got my little Chanel bag. That's finite because he didn't pick you. He didn't pick you. He gave you some stuff. So what I want all women to do is I want them to sit down. I want them to get out their calculator. Imagine this is my calculator. It's my streaming box. But imagine this is my calculator. This should be my calculator for all things that go wrong in the world. I'm just going to start calculating them up on my calculator. I want you to calculate, and I want you to ask yourself, if somebody rolled up to your mailbox while you were checking your mail, unsuspecting mail checking girl, if you were checking your mail and somebody rolled up to your mailbox and said, will you come over here and sleep with me for $600? Would you say yes? Because if I add up this flower, $150. If I add up this hotel, $200. If I add up that dinner, $200. I'm not even getting the $600 here. If somebody rolled up at your mailbox where you're checking the mail and they said, here's $600, can I sleep with you? What would be your logical answer? And would you entertain them still? Would you still stand there talking to them as you're just checking your mailbox, trying to get back inside? Because they're not going to do anything for you. They're not taking you anywhere. They're not keeping you. They want an exchange, and then they're going to drive away like a mailman. That's what's going to happen. So my question is, like, if they want to give you some money and then you give your body, are you good for that? Because I can calculate those Valentine's weekends special ones. $200 hotel. Let's go fancier. Let's go $400 hotel. Let's go fancier. Let's do let's do $400 hotel. Let's do $200 for the dinner. And let's do $200 for the flowers. We're 8. If you go absolutely crazy, get some chocolate too. Go crazy with an outfit, $1,000. Okay. I bet you have a $1,000 bill right now that needs to be paid. I bet you've paid a $1,000 bill before, right? No, it's a no. It's just a no. I'm in my head here and I'm calculating on my calculator and it's not adding up. It's not, my soul does not want to be damaged for $1,000 and my soul does not want to be damaged for anything. No amount. That's all I'm saying. Because one soul is getting fractured every time somebody comes in, does that transfer, and then takes your body and then they head out. Because that's what it is. It's heading out, you know? I'm good. So I don't understand it. It kills me. It hurts my heart. But the world has people completely deceived. And that is supposed to be what we're striving toward. Is now having that like 100 rose bouquet that you can't even see your face and get a good picture from Instagram. Now we're doing that in exchange for being flown out in a 100 rose bouquet and a little gift bag. Somebody's like, oh, this is your body. This is your, like, people don't even think about how valuable their body is until their body is like sick with a disease, with cancer, with whatever, until their body is sick. And then you're like, wait, I need to get my body well. And you're going spending thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get your body well. Then people think, man, my body is priceless. That's when they start to think it. But in those exchanges, it's not happening. So I don't know, y'all. I watched that video and it had me sad for both sides. Because you want to just be sad for the women. I'm sad for the women in the video because the women spoke that they felt obligated to exchange their body because like that's what they felt like they were supposed to do because like that's like being thankful for their gift. And imagine like we serve a God who gives us good gifts and we didn't deserve it. We didn't have to do anything for it. Jesus died for us. We didn't have to do anything for it. We just say yes. That's it. Thank you. Yes. That's it. But we don't have to do anything for it. So this perversion of God's love is insane to me. This perversion, and the deception around it is radical. The deception that I love you and I'm giving you this because I love you. But the deception is it's not forever. It's temporary. So what if someone were to actually verbalize exactly what it was? What if someone were to turn around for Valentine's Day and say, Happy Valentine's Day, I'm going to give you $600 and just verbalize exactly what this actually is. I'm going to spend $600 on you with the expectation that you give me your body and in 3 weeks, I'm going to leave you. Happy Valentine's Day. Like if we were to say it what it was, it would not even be romantic anymore. It would be, that one we would erase it off of our lives. If we were to actually just sit and just actually speak what it is, we would just erase it. That being said, I think Valentine's Day is great. I just feel like love is being perverted and it just gets perverted on that day too. It's getting perverted in general. So no anti-Valentine's Day. We love Valentine's Day. We love chocolate. We love a good night out. We love a good date. We love jewelry. We love a nice dress. We love all this stuff, but freely given. Does that make sense? You know, I'm going to tell you, you're never going to regret walking away from something that's transactional. And I will tell you, the devil starts little with that transactional thing. The devil starts so small. He starts so small trying to bait you with transaction. And it starts with loneliness, y'all. It starts with like, oh, I don't have anyone to hang out with. And this person, I can hang out with them, but they don't like me like that. You know, they only like me like this much and I like them like that much. It starts like that. The devil starts with those things. Let's not minimize that because your heart is getting fractured in those relationships too. That person doesn't want to keep you and they verbalize, hey, I don't want you like that. And then you're taking the smidget. Same thing. It's same thing because your heart is getting fragmented along the way. All right. So I don't want to minimize that, because see, the devil starts with that and works his way up. And then when you think you found someone and they say these love words, and then some holiday comes. That holiday could be Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, your birthday. Then they do these things, and then someone feels responsible to give their body. No. God does not require us to give in order to receive. And so this shows me, immediately shows me we don't know God's love for us, which is like not transactional. It is completely, we are not worthy of it, but he does it anyway. That's God's love pouring on us. Whenever we have a transactional, performative relationship, we are not understanding the goodness and graciousness of God. We do not get it. We do not get it. We do not get it. Mm-mm. I'm just going to tell you the truth. We don't get it. Anyways, I don't know what I came on here for. I don't know what I came on here for, but I was just saying hello. I was saying hello. I definitely didn't come on here to bash Valentine's Day, because actually I love Valentine's Day. I think it's great. I think chocolate is great. I think a date is great. I think dinner is great. I just think that freely given. That's it. That's a take home message. Freely given, freely received. You know, if you're gonna have sin with somebody, sin is sin, and sin is not love. That's all. If you decide you want to have sin, it's just not love. Don't confuse the two things. It's not the same thing, because love is covenant. Love has God included, and you don't have to worry that it's going to disappear, or that you're too much, or that it's going to go away. There's freedom to freely move in love, because it's boundless. You can make mistakes, because you're going to be freely forgiven, even though you don't deserve it, because that's what covenantal love is. It is boundless. It's not bound by all these rules that we get in the world in fake relationship. It's all fake. So throughout those covenants, and then you know what's real. Oh wait, somebody's willing to sacrifice. They're going to stay the course. It's I can make a mistake. They're still going to love me. I'm not too much. I'm not too clingy. They're going to love me past all of my like weirdness. Actually, they love my weirdness. They see me the way God sees me. Oh, sacrificial. That's love. There we go. That's what it is. So I don't want us to ever confuse Valentine's Day or worldly love for godly love, because it's two different things. Always. Always. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like y'all, so often I just feel like giving up. Because I look at that, I see something like that, and I see these young ladies are so young. And I feel like, what am I going to do about it? You know, all I can do is tell the truth. But a lot of it, it just comes from God. Do you know what I mean? Because until you believe you are who God says you are, it is so hard to interact with other people in a way that doesn't expose you to the deception of the enemy, and expose you to wounds. It's literally almost impossible to do it. Do you guys understand what I mean? It's almost impossible to do it when you don't see yourself with the identity of Christ, like with the identity of I'm brand new, even if I blew it from this moment back. If you don't see yourself like that, it is so hard when someone proposes some pasted breadcrumb version of love. It is so hard to not say no to that until you understand God's love for real, that he loves you broken, shattered, a mess, a disaster. He loves you all messed up. It is so hard to like walk away from the breadcrumbs until you understand God does not give you breadcrumbs. He does not do that. And so he doesn't author the confusion of that. He doesn't author the confusion of the constraint that you cannot be free and that you cannot make a mistake and be forgiven. He doesn't even author that. He doesn't even author these ideas that you have to be tested so often. He doesn't author this thing that you're getting objectified. He doesn't author that. That is the devil who is in front of that and offering you something the same way he did in the early days when he offered you some companion in exchange to get rid of your loneliness. That was the bait. first time around. Then new levels, same game, new levels. That's it. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to come on around Valentine's Day, but then I was just like, same old stuff. But then I saw this video and I was just like, oh my God, is this punishment because I didn't come on and warn them about Valentine's Day? I saw that video and I'm like, I'm so crushed for these young ladies. And really, I'm crushed for the men too, because they're getting a version of the woman that's not God's daughter. It's not. It's not God's daughter version. They're getting the perverted version of a woman, which is a fragmented version of the woman. That's not that woman functioning in her femininity, in her personal best. It's not. That is that woman functioning out of deception. That's her functioning thinking, if I perform this, I'm going to get that. And if I do this, it's going to make me whole. It's her functioning in a way that she thinks you can fix her. She thinks you're like the sewing machine. Like, she's not even thinking she's good enough because she doesn't see herself the way God sees her. So her value is almost like there's a filter on top of her value. It's like a black shade. You know how you got those tinted windows? There's tinted window over her value. You can't even see it. So the men are getting deceived because they're dating the tinted window version of the woman. And they see that she goes to church, that, oh, that's God's daughter, like that, right? That's not her personal best. And she can't be brought into the fullness of her personal best, not under the umbrella of sin. Can't happen. She's under the umbrella of sin. She's stuck under the umbrella of sin. And she doesn't feel safe in that situation. And she doesn't feel safe or at peace because it's not God's union. It is the devil's union. It's not God's union. So by nature, when she gets a little bit sassy mouth, out of order, biting back, she's not even in her true feminine God's daughter version of herself. She's not even in that. She's in a box, locked up, chains around her. That's where she is. And that's the version that the men are getting. And they think that version's great. And God has got something so much better for them than that. But they're getting the breadcrumbs thinking, well, I got the sex. That's great. No, God has more for you than an orgasm. He actually has more. I promise. But you can't tell him that. ATL as well. You can't tell him that. Anyways, let's see what you guys are here talking about. That's right. People do confuse love for lust. That's true. Somebody said, we've been deceived. I agree. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Somebody said, I thought Valentine's weekends were for married couples, not for two strangers. I love how you called it what it was. Two strangers. Amen. A big old amen on that. Because if we ask someone, think about it. How often do you come upon a couple and then they've been together for some time and then you quietly ask them, so, are you guys thinking about getting married? And they give you the eyes like, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, hold on there. Don't move too fast there. It drives me nuts because, well, shoot, y'all fornicating, you celebrating every holiday together, trying to play house. Well, why is this temporary? That's the question. Why is the person that you're with good enough for like 4 things, but not all 10? And then they're like, oh yeah, they started calling each other wifey. That and like hubby and wifey. I think that is the level that I like literally I turn upside down when I hear that. When I start hearing like wifey. Here's a perfect example. This is literally a perfect example. I came across a reel. This is not even a lie. I came across a reel of this woman. By the way, the woman is like an 8.5 on the worldly scale. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl. And I don't consider myself an 8.5, by the way. I consider myself an average looking girl. This girl was beautiful. Okay, this girl's beautiful. She's not like a model. She's a regular person, but she's literally 8.5, okay? And I'm pretty hard on the scale. I'm average. She's more beautiful than me, put it that way. If we're talking just numbers, I'm not talking about total package. I'm talking about just the physical beauty. This girl's more beautiful than me. This girl comes on. She starts talking about blah, blah, blah. She's got a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. It's Valentine's Day, blah, blah, blah. He's got to go out of town and work. And she's like, question mark. question mark, he's got to work out of town. She already has suspicions. And then turns out, obviously, he has someone else. And then what is the what got me is when I started watching the video, this is what got me. When she started talking in the video, I automatically assumed that this was her husband. And I had to play the video back in order, like, I was like, wait a second. Because she had a part two. It was a part one, and then it was like a part two. And actually, she had a part three. And I got to like part three, and I was like, wait a second. Then she said something about him, and I was like, did she say boyfriend? I was like, I probably wouldn't be so invested if I thought this was a boyfriend. She said something about the guy and then working out of town for Valentine's Day, which she thought was suspicious. I was like, okay. And then she's like, but then she found out that he was up to something suspicious. I was like, okay. And then she's like, so I had a lawyer draft up a document about basically him needing to leave right now, leave out the house or whatever right now. And I was like, okay, all this was lending to like, I thought this woman was married. And in the third video, I see she's talking about our boyfriend. And I was like, I just wasted my whole day. Like, we need to stop pretending boyfriends are husbands. They're not. They're temporary. they're not. They're not. They're not. So I'm like, why did she even have her lawyer draft something up for him to get out? Like, she could have just said, hey, you cheated. Please leave. You don't need a lawyer for that. You're not married. AKA, you're not married. So it was just weird. It was weird when I saw that. And then I was like, I want my 10 minutes back from watching your 3 reels because you were performing all of this excessive chat as if you were married. Girl, you are somebody's girlfriend. Didn't somebody tell you that girlfriends are temporary? Sit down. Sit down. That's what happens. That's it. That's all I want to say about it. But yeah. See, the hard thing is, you said we need to teach the women to say no. I feel like we can't just teach the women. That's the problem. That is the problem. The women are emotional, they're vulnerable, they have these needs emotionally, they get attached when they spend time with people. It's messy. I feel like the answer is not just, we do need to teach women to say no, but that's not the whole answer. The problem I see is, I'm looking at it from the church perspective. I see all these male pastors who build these ministries around women's empowerment. And I'm like, dude, women are the attendees for the church. Go like evangelize to men who are on the street, bring men to the church, and then like disciple that, like minister to them, like mentor them, bring them under your wing, make them into men of God. Like that's really the answer, is to take the dudes off of the street and bring them into the kingdom of God, develop them, keep them close, and teach them how to treat God's daughters. That's, I think, the solution. But instead, I see the church, they got to make their money, I suppose. So they're going around to the attendees, the women, and their whole ministry is feed the cycle of women, women, women. When women already know the word, they're already in church, they already go every Sunday. But their temptation from the devil is not that. Their temptation is their loneliness and their lack of covenants and their lack of options. And the devil tempts them with companionship that is not permanent. And the companionship that's not permanent takes them into sin. That's how the devil tricks them every time. So if we had more men of God who were doing all that stuff, then the men of God would present a godly alternative, which is covenant, because they're ready for it, because they've been trained in it, and they know how to treat God's daughters. And then the women would select that versus selecting the temptation, which takes them to sin, which takes them further away from God. That's actually the problem. The church wants to like piddle paddle around the women all day. Women's ministry this, women's conference is that. The women already know. They're tempted by loneliness. The women already know. They know right from wrong. But just like that girl on the YouTube that I saw, in her heart, she knew for Valentine's Day, those rose petals, that champagne, she knew that was prostitution, y'all. She knew that. She knew what that was. She knew, the one that was flown out knew that that was prostitution. She knew that. But she participated anyway. Why? Because that's what she felt her only option was. And she did not have the identity that God sees in her that wasn't embedded in her soul. She didn't see herself from the image and likeness of God. She saw it through the lens that the devil gave her, which is not enough. The God says she's enough. The devil says she's not enough. So she looked at that image that the devil gave her and she took that option because that's option of scarcity. That scarcity option is the option she thought she should take, which ended her up in the revolving door, which there's nothing at the end of that rainbow. There's no pot of gold there. There's no pot of gold there. It's going to give her 10 years of getting used and then old age. That's what's going to get her. So, but the church won't tell them that. And the church doesn't go get the godly men and evangelize. So the church just takes the women and says, we're having a conference. Let's praise the Lord and worship, and I'll collect you $200. Circle, circle, circle. They do that all day. They stay afloat. They don't even go after the men. And these women are just running around in a circle, praising God all day and being tempted by loneliness. And then one by one, they fall off and they go scarcity mindset back to the world. This is actually what's happening. So when I see this stuff on a reel, my heart is breaking because I'm like, Lord, help them. Honestly, my heart is breaking. My heart is heavy. My heart is heavy. I don't know if you could feel that for me. My heart is heavy. So I think the women actually know better. I think they know better. I think they know how the story ends. And that's why they get into the relationship, but they're always fidgety and full of anxiety and always watchful and waiting for the bottom to drop off because they know the bottom is going to drop off because they know how the story ends. So they're not in peace because once you know who God is, you can go back to the world, but you can't go back in peace anyway. So you're in the world, but your heart feels like pulled, torn, and wounded the whole time you're in it. So you're getting that little small breadcrumb of your need met, but you're all like, you're wounded as you're getting fed. You're still getting wounded. You're just getting scratched and whipped as you're getting fed at the same time. So it's kind of like having a glass of water when you're thirsty and you're drinking, somebody's refilling it, there's a hole in the bottom of it and you're drinking some, but there's water just falling out of the bottom. That's the cycle. That's literally the cycle. And that's the cycle that they're stuck in. It makes me so sad, y'all. It does. It makes me sad. I didn't come on to be like sad because I'm happy. My life is good. But it makes me sad that that's like, I'm looking at these girls. These girls are like 18, 20, right? Some of them 23, right? These girls have the whole world. The whole world is available to them. And God has that for them. Like the whole world's available. But we have to remember that we're going to have to say no to the temptation and risk it all. Risk having nothing for God. Just risk like I'll just have nothing and you're enough, God. We have to risk. We can't go into it thinking just, God answers every single prayer. But just like God is enough if no prayer gets answered. He is enough. And turn away from that thing. Because that cycle is the empty, like the hole in the cup cycle. It's enough to like, you get thirsty, you drink it. Does it do something? Yes, it does wet your mouth. But then you're like, you're never really full. It's an endless cycle of the cup is always empty. You're always having to refill it. The cup is always empty. You're always trying to drink it. It's just broken. It's just a broken system. And then by the time they realize how broken the system is, the level of damage that they're trying to heal from is so astronomical. It's unsettling is what I would describe it as. That's all. The church that I'm talking about is not following the teachings of Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's most of them. Do you understand that's most of them? I have frustration with the church too, because they are so good about going to go get more women. Like they have whole ministries that are like, go get more women ministries. But they have to go get the men. The men are the heads. They're the head of the households. They are the king of the home. They are the ones who sit right below Jesus Christ. We need those. That has to happen. That has to happen in order to get the women right too. It's not just, I mean, we've been trying to correct the women for like decades, and we have the same problem. You know, it's the same problem. Let's see. Oof, somebody said, we're still being deceived. I see a demon in my old friend's eyes, then started to get bad feelings when I was with him. So, so I felt it. My feelings don't lie. Ouch. That's always tough. Like lately, what I've been observing is I've just been discerning spirits off of people as well. Like I bumped into a lady. This is kind of tough. I got to figure out how to describe this story. Because when I don't plan on telling a story, I had to like figure out how to tell it. I figure out how to tell it without telling it. You know what I mean? Um, so like there was an instance of a family. There was an instance of a family, and I observed some weird behavior in the child from afar. Like I wasn't like babysitting. I didn't, you ever see something in the grocery store and you're like, that's off. I was at that kind of a length distance. This is not a situation where I could just freely go in and intervene. This is like that kind of a distance. So I was interacting, not even interacting. I wouldn't even use the word interacting. I was observing from a distance a family, and the dynamics, I could see the dynamics were like, I discerned that, oh my gosh, this family had a lot going on. And whatever was going on, I knew the first thing I observed were the young people were affected heavily. And so I was like, oh, these young people are too young to be affected. And I could sense that there was some ungodly things with the children. And then I was like, you have to go back. Children, children shouldn't be having too much going on, right? Right. So when you have children having something too much going on, you have to think, okay, got to go straight to the parents, go straight to the generations, right? Because the Bible talks about things passing down generations, right? So then I started like observing like the next generation, and I was like, something seems off with that next generation too. One generation up. And then I encountered someone that I'm not sure her level in the family, but she's another level in the family. Maybe she's like cousin, aunt, uncle. Maybe she's a grandma. I'm not sure. She's old enough to be grandma, but maybe she's old enough to not be a grandma. You know how it is nowadays. She could just be an older cousin, could be a grandma, could be an aunt, could be an older aunt. I'm not sure. But when I encountered that woman, that one of the people of that family that I encountered, okay, I encountered basically three generations of people over a period of time. The first encounter was probably, y'all, the first encounter I almost went live to talk to you guys about, but then I just didn't. Like it was so crazy that I wanted to talk about it real time. I was like, y'all, this crazy stuff happened. I actually don't even want to talk about how crazy it was because it was just too crazy what I observed. So I don't want to talk about it. I will just say I observed something in the third generation that I was like, that's not normal. And then I went up one level and I observed the generation above it. And I was like, I could sense something off with that generation. It's coming from higher up. And then only recently I observed what I would consider the higher up generation. What I would consider, I don't know if this is the grandma or not, but it's definitely someone grandma level age. Okay. So now I've gone up to the third generation up. And I was like, that's it. That's the root right there. There's something off right there. Something's off right there. And that thing has traveled down. That thing has spread like a cancer. That thing has spread. And I was just like, wow, this is wild, y'all. That's what I wanted to say. I was like, people act like that stuff does not spread down, but we have to remember, like, spirits are watching. We have monitoring spirits. Spirits are watching all the time. Spirits already know the strongholds in the family, you know, and they're waiting to gain entry. They're waiting. They're just waiting, passing from one person to the next, and then you start seeing how, like, I don't know, y'all. Sometimes you see all these things and you just, I don't know, it's just heavy sometimes. You guys know? This is the hard part when it's just hard. Sometimes I just gotta leave it at that. Sometimes it's just hard because there's a part of me that just wants freedom for all. But I have, over a period of time, this is what I've realized about these scenarios. They've got to want freedom more than I want freedom for them. They've got to want it more than me. That's what I've realized, because it's very hard to maintain freedom if the person who's delivering you, doing the process, God's doing the deliverance, but whoever is helping you through it, if you want it more than them, it doesn't work. I mean, it works temporarily, band-aid, but you know what I mean? So it's heavy in that way. If that makes sense. It's heavy. But yeah. Anywho, I just hopped on here to say what's up. Hello. I know I don't come on here all that much, but yeah, I'm working. I've got a lot of things going on in the background. Next week, I've got this event that I'm supporting, so I'm trying to get revved up for that. So, I mean, I just been busy. Like that's taking up my full time right now. Once I get past that event, then I can get back to, like, more or less into my book stuff again. And then I always said, oh, in the spring I'm gonna pop out like a little Easter egg. Poof, you'll see me all at. But but right now I'm trying to, like, okay, like, I gotta manage all these things. But if you guys have questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. I'm here. I'm here for the taking. While I'm here, get your questions in the chat so I can answer them. But yeah, that's what's up. Um, I observed a lot of things over content I'm still consuming. I feel like I've spent a lot of time consuming a lot of content lately, which is good, actually, because you would think that that's like brain rot kind of stuff, but it's really not, because it depends on what God likes to do with you. Sometimes you're in a season where you're just doing constant prayer. Sometimes you're constantly doing like personal development. And sometimes you're reflecting and you're observing things that are just been planted in your visual cue. And you're observing it from a godly perspective. So a lot of these things that I observed, obviously this is not church setting, right? So I'm observing like a worldly situation, but I'm seeing how the devil breaks people in the world, how he deceives them. Do you know? How I'm seeing how the devil takes a knife or takes a fork and sticks a fork in them, and, like, they're done. I could see his methods. And I think that's, for me, both. I think it's frustrating in this moment, but that same frustration that I have in this moment, when I come back to do like regular chats, is the same level of power by which it will fuel what I speak to. Does that make sense? So there has to be some internal, like, crushing right now if I'm going to have something um, to energize me to speak something different. So God does what he wants with me. And it's an interesting season. I'm enjoying my quiet season, though, and I'm trying to be extremely productive. I just realized that not the greatest at I'm not the greatest at like, I can take on a lot of stuff, y'all. I don't know if you realize that. I can wear many hats. And sometimes you just got to sit down and look at, this is what I have on my plate, and it's going to take this much out of me. Does it make sense to spread myself too thin? I have to sit down and like reevaluate that regularly. That's kind of what I had to do, is like, wait, you've got this on your plate. You need to evaluate how thin you're spread and how often you can do all of it. Like, you need to sit down and evaluate that. So I've done that. That's what I've been up to. Don't give up hope, Doc. I've seen hope, and it's absolute. It's unstoppable. I was close to saying, meh, yet God totally allowed me to see it. Amen. Amen. Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy. Do you know why it's heavy? Let me tell you why it's heavy. Because I've already walked the path of so many of those women. I've already walked that path. So I already know how that story ends. And they're just being deceived. And the enemy is doing the same old tricks, different decade. Does that make sense? And it's like so painful. It's so painful. You want to like jump inside the computer screen and be like, no! But there's nothing you can do about it. You just can like do what you do, talk about what you talk about, and pray. You know? You reset your priorities this year. Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to hop in here, say hello to the fam for a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna be kind of. I may sporadically pop on. I don't want to make promises. Obviously, I didn't plan on popping on today, but you know, I pop on a little bit here and there, and continue doing what I do. Like I said, next weekend is an event that I've been working on for weeks. I'm not the main event. I'm a supporting person, but yet and still I've been working on that event for weeks. So it's important to me, even though I'm not the main event. People who work with me and know me know how I am. Y'all know how I am about my podcast. Uh, and nobody even watched my podcast the first year. It's $1,200, this, that, you know, pink lights, you know, I'm just that way. I think the person who loves me has to understand that like I go hard. Like whatever I'm doing, I go hard. So I've been working the last few weeks on this pop-up event. Next week is going to be the pop-up event. You guys aren't going to see anything of it. I'm not going to like get footage. I probably am not going to do all that because, you know, when I'm dealing with stuff, I just want to deal with it. I want it to go smoothly, and I'm only one person. So I don't have like a camera crew following me around to do little things. So I'm just going to make sure the event goes smoothly, and I've been working toward that. I have to put some final touches on everything this coming week, and I'll be ready. I mean, like if I wasn't ready, I wouldn't even be live right now. This is a sign that I've come close to being ready because I've been doing all-nighters and stuff. So I've truly, truly been busy. But I feel good about it. So that's good. So yeah, it's not something that's going to be on my channel. I'm probably not going to have footage, and I probably aren't going to, you know, when it's somebody else's event, I let them have their event. They're the star. They're doing their thing. I'm just the backup. I'm the backup singer. And I'm a good backup singer, by the way. So I've been preparing all of that. And once I get through that little, then I can get back to like, you know, more or less my book stuff. Because I feel like, y'all, I feel like if I don't get this book finished, like, first, I realized I thought the book was done, right? And then remember, Michael, I said the book is done, at least the first draft, right? And that I wrote it so fast. Oh my God, the editing process is not like the draft. Like I am a fast writer, but the editing process is painful. It is painful. I will just say that. It's not the same as writing. That's what I will say. And then I said, hey, I'm not going to put it out. But in editing, I've decided that I can revise it how I want and still put it out. So so I went back to my original book, and I'm still working on the book for men. So does that make sense? Like at first I was like, I'm not going to put it out. Oh gosh, this is too personal. This is too much. It just turned like, that's the hard thing about writing is you go in and you're writing and you may have one thing planned, but it's a creative art and it comes out the way the painting is painted. So once I got out of it, I was like, that's deep. And I was like, I don't know if I want the whole world to have that part of me. I don't have to rethink that whole thing. So that's not what I expected, right? Um, Writing something quickly doesn't mean that you're ready to release it. And then even like prophecy, you may receive a prophecy from God, but you don't release all the prophecies that you get from God, right? Writing, although it's not the same, like I consider my writing a gift from God, because there's no way on God's green earth anyone could write that fast if it wasn't that God had given that gift. That's something that I've only experienced since I've been saved. Well, no, in nursing school I wrote some papers really, really fast, but I wasn't saved. It's interesting. Um, I still think the gifts come from God. It's just that I recognize that the gift comes from God now. I don't attribute that to myself at all. But and God's using it for his glory, right? So yeah, I'm focusing on the book for men. So I'd stopped doing that one and started a second book because I was like, I don't know, it's too vulnerable for me. Y'all might think I come out here and all vulnerable. No, my innermost thoughts, they're vulnerable. And I don't want to release them all. So but that's the interesting thing is I realize that I can figure out how to pull some parts back, how to release some parts, how to make it less about me, how to make it more generic. So that is hard to do. That's much harder than it is just vomit the book out. If I was just gonna be like, get the book out and it's like very personal and I don't care about all my personal business, then yeah, book's done. But just do some small edits. But this is my whole life, y'all. So, and my legacy too, right? What I put out there, it stays out there permanently. So, it's a serious thing now that I think about it, right? So, I'm trying to like be careful in how I do that. Does that make sense? So, I think it'll be great. And I've got new revelation since I wrote it. And so I'm revising for that, which is awesome. That's just almost like if I were to have had to, I suppose this happens with everyone who authors a book, that if it takes them longer than expected, that on the edit process, you're like, I got new revelation since I wrote the first draft, and it's just going to go into the same book versus going into the, second edition or whatever. So yeah, but I'm going to get the men's book out. I am going to do that. And you know what it is? Here's what I would say that the men's book is. The way I just told you guys, we were talking about Valentine's Day and we were talking about the struggles that I like, my heavy heart for women, right? I have a heavy heart for women, but I have a heavy heart for men because what I just told you, everyone, the church, the mamas, the this, the, everybody wants to tell women, just behave differently. Men lead spiritually. Full stop. Men lead spiritually. So, and the church is not pushing that process. They push it when they say only men in the pulpit. That's where they push it. But when it comes to grabbing more men and bringing them in and like cultivating a church that has a demographic that is not majority female, like that is a complete and total failure. The church should not be majority female. It should not be. That tells me we have a complete and utter failure right there. Right there. We're failing right there. So my book, pretty much, my goal is that where the church has missed, kind of like my podcast picks up where the church misses, the book picks up where the church misses. The church is missing so much stuff, bringing men from their early, teenage years up and through the years of their marriage. It misses that boat because they're not going out and grabbing those men evangelizing. This book is meant to do that. If it gets in the right hands, right? So that's the goal. At least if 4 people read it, if 10 people read it, if 20 people read it, if one person reads it, if someone gets something out of it and they pass it on and something about it they use to teach their sons, even if it's like one man gets something, they have a son and they use it to help their son, then honestly, That's my legacy. And I'm thinking about the fact that that's still, even after I'm long gone and I'm no longer on this earth, if somebody got a hold of that book and that book helped them shape their mind and help them think differently about how they approach the world, and it made them think, this is how I want my son to approach the world. And then they take that and they make it their own, right? I think that I would have accomplished something right there. That's what I think. So, yeah, and it's heavy. Like it is. It's just heavy. So, that's my goal. My goal is that we've always been a community that's told women, dress modestly, be a lady, watch your language. Those things are all important. Like all of that's still the same. That never changes. But then we're just like, our culture just doesn't do the same thing for men. And then I get very frustrated when I see the churches do like so much women's conference, so much women's worship, so much women this and that. And I'm like, the church is 90% women, and we need to go bring in a more diverse church. We need to grow the church. And I don't know what the answer to that is. I almost think like every church building should have a division that is only on the streets. And they should just call it that, only on the streets. Almost every single church needs to be, we are the street division. We are the street division. This building that we have, yeah, we don't use it. We come here to restock our supplies, and then we only go on the streets. Like literally need just that. I think if that's where the church could be and spend half of their time, I think that would be a win. I think we would start to see culture shift and change. But here's what I will end with. I will end with this because this is the thing that I thought was so uplifting. When I saw that podcast, or I know I talked a lot about the Valentine's Day, like the depressing parts of what I saw with the women. But the shiny, bright light is I saw the host who I always discerned he was a Christian. I was like, I think he's a Christian. At the very end of it, like he did all his worldly talk, he did all his crazy, he used all his profanity. I'm gonna keep it real with you. But at the end of it, but one thing about it is when it comes to his house, you can hear it in how he is proud of his wife. Nobody messes with his wife. Nobody messes with his children. Nobody messes with his family. You can hear it in his voice that he has so much pride for what belongs to him. Pride, care, and when he talks his worldly stuff, he's talking about his, like, before he was a new creation self. And then he always reminds the audience, I'm a married man. I love my wife. This was old me. And then he talks about his worldly thing because that's his stream. But he always bakes in, like, this is not who I am today. This is not how I treat my wife. This is not what I think the culture should be doing. He'll drop it in. He'll drop in those sprinkles. And for me, I could feel the godliness on the sprinkles. A little cinnamon on top. I feel that. But I knew he was a Christian, y'all. I just knew it. I just knew it. And at the end of this podcast, I don't know if he's going a different direction. But I know he talked about his wild days, and he basically talked about how he wasn't raised to be a wild one. Like, he was raised basically by godly people. And that hit me. I was like, oh, number two, that means the word doesn't return void. Those words are going to take some root. Then at the very end, he was like, I'm going to give y'all a word for today. I was like, I almost fell out my chair, y'all. He went and read Corinthians, y'all. And I'm not going to even lie. Let me tell y'all something. Why this was so good for me. When I heard this man go to Corinthians, then he talked about Valentine's Day for his wife, how he did it. He didn't give all the like gory details, but he gave the marital version of what marital love is after hearing all these worldly versions of love that were actually BS. Then he's talked about what I would consider what real love is. And he's like, I always do this for I always do stuff like this for my wife. He's like, now, if my wife's listening to people in the world be like, he didn't buy you 100 rose bouquet. He didn't buy this. He didn't buy that. But he's like, I do those kinds of things here and there anyway. So I didn't need to do it on this day. He's like, I kind of do that here and there. She knows we already do all these nice dinners and I already spoil her. He's like, what I planned for her was this beautiful day at home. And do you know what he started with? I almost cried. He said, we started with a Bible study in the morning. Woo, I'm done. He started with a Bible study in the morning with his wife on Valentine's Day. I was done, y'all. Can you talk about the love? Do you see this? Let me tell you something. This young man is about to fool around and take some of these people out of the world and get them saved. How about that? How about that for winning? Because he talked about how he treated his wife on a regular basis. He talked about the fact that, you know what, I'm so glad my wife doesn't listen to people in the world. He said, because people in the world would have been like, if she would, when she posted blah, 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 blah about their simple Valentine's Day, the world would have been like, oh, he didn't give you the like 500 rose bouquet that covers up your whole face. And he didn't do da 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 da. And he didn't da 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 da. Oh my gosh. They're like, he's just so basic. And he was like, my wife knows I go hard for her. She knows I love her. He knows I love to spoil her. And he knows it. So he's like, I wanted to do something different. And then he described his day. And I thought that was starting well, y'all. He had Bible study with his wife, and his wife made a little breakfast thing. And she was like, and he kind of wanted to do such and such. And he's like, no, I need to spend this quality time with my wife. And so we're going to do this and that. And so he was just reacting to the day in a way that had so much warmth and practicalness and godliness. Come on, y'all. Come on, man. Hold on. He was rounding up the men. He was showing them how it's done. Let me let y'all know. That young man is teaching them. He's teaching them. See, that's the version. What that young man did was more than what the average church does. So he talked about that. He talked about what he did last year for Valentine's Day. He talked about what he normally does to spoil her. But he's like, I want it to be, like warm and simple, like kind of warm but simple. We did a Bible study. We did this. We did that. He went through his things. I don't remember all the things, But at the very end, then he cracked out a whole Corinthians. Y'all. He cracked out the book of Corinthians and wrote about love is patient, love is kind, love is this, love is that. Y'all, you know what? I'm going to let you know something true. When you hear the word from someone who is like the pastor types in the house of the Lord, in the pulpits, great. When you hear the word from someone who has a platform that has a wide variety of people, some people saved, unsaved, some people not even here for no word. When you see a person who has a platform that's so diverse and so masculine, like he has the ear of the men. Do you hear me? Of the young men, of the young worldly men, let me add, okay? He has the ear of those who need to be saved. And he spoke truth. Now, he entertained them for a good 45 minutes. Let's keep it real. He used all the profanity. He went crazy. Yeah. But let me give you the last 15 minutes. He was showing a godly walk in how he lives, and he always does that on every stream. No matter what kind of crazy stuff he talks about, he always says, this is my old days. And then he says, with my wife, I give my wife this kind of respect. I show her this kind of love. I uphold her in this kind of, he's constantly telling people. Not only that, he's telling young Black men, which is what I'm also very excited about, right? Because I want to see my community moving and shaking. Let's be honest. I want everyone to, but I also want to see my community moving and shaking. Okay. But this is encouraging Black men that this can be normal in today's culture. Does that make sense? So I'm excited when I see stuff like that. He broke out with Corinthians at the end, read straight from the Bible. It honestly doesn't get any better than that. When you have a stream that is a totally worldly stream, but you use it to bring glory to God and to bring glory to the marriage, to the bride, to the daughter that God blessed you with, and he always speaks about his wife like she is a daughter that God blessed her with and what kind of woman she is. He always does that. And so this is, I promise you, y'all, I promise you, he plants seeds. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you he plants seeds. I promise you. Now, I don't know if he'll at one point become a pastor, but I don't think I need him to be. The Lord has given him a massive platform, and he's using it the way he's using it. He's moving and shaking in how he's using it. However, I really do think God is starting to raise up the regular everyday dudes to do what the church won't do. It's as simple as that. That's what I think. I think God is raising up the everyday dudes with boldness to speak about the things in their life where they know they have been blessed. That's what he's doing. And in their marriages, you're seeing the godliness. You're seeing the sacrifice. You're seeing the care. You're seeing the leadership in how they talk about how they raise their children. You're seeing it. We're seeing men, and he's not the only one. We're starting to see that more where the church, and I'm going to tell you, the church has failed in that aspect so far. Not to say they can't come back from it, because I'm waiting. But what I am seeing is the regular kind of everyday dudes, when God blesses them with something so massive and then the people know, you have to remember he was raised in the church. So he knew who was blessing him. He may have played for some time, but he came on around new creation. He is a new creation. And God is using him for his own glory. And I know church people will look at that and be like, oh, he still uses profanity, and oh, his stream is still worldly, and oh, all I have to say is, oh, shut up, because he has the ears of those who are still lost, and he's still planting seeds. He's not going to be able to plant seeds if he's not relatable to them. So God's blessed him with an ability to be relatable and also flip it and be godly. I know it sounds just like mixture, but I can guarantee you my discernment is that inside of his household, he is a godly man. He upholds his family the right way. He treats his wife with the utmost respect. He never shows her anything less than any of that. And he even tells them, don't put your hands on a woman. Don't disgrace women. He even tells people that in his stream. So I feel like celebrities, for example, kind of get a lot of flack when they say something about God because their lifestyles are a little bit mixed up. But let God handle their mixed up lives, because that's the sanctification process. Aren't we all on that journey of sanctification? But God will use them for that platform, for that wide platform to reach many people for his glory. He will do it every time. He will do it every time. So I'm honestly excited because I already had discerned inside, because I know he acts wild, but y'all know how it is. Podcasting, in order to get the views and stuff, get the thing climbing, and do what the algorithm needs to do, you got to act a little crazy. I don't do all that. It's simple. But at the end of the day, he understands that too, and he gives enough of it to keep that algorithm running. But at the end of the day, he does have a heart for the Lord. I can see that. So I think, you know, I see a lot more of that in him. And then I look at, unfortunately, here and there, I'll see the pastors who I can see, like, I've watched a few pastors on their streams, and I know they're convicted over the same thing that I'm talking about right now. I don't ever comment, by the way. I don't get in their comments and say, why don't you did it? I don't even do that. I let it go. Because God can tell them what their mission is. I just let it go. And I try to do what I need to do, whatever my mission is. But, what I witness is I witnessed that the pastors who do have these big platforms, they're just building it and they're cycling their women around for their books and their conferences and their this and their that. All women, women, women. The women are already saved. That's the problem with that. The women are already saved. They're already going. They may be imperfect. They may be on a sanctification process and they don't look perfect, but they're going to heaven. And then the men, you haven't worked on them at all. But they're going like this with the women in a circle. And then one of the guys, I was watching a stream, and it's almost like he read my mind. And he's a pastor. And he gets on there, and he's like, I saw in the comments that, why don't we do anything for the men kind of stuff. So it's like, it's so funny because I didn't write that. I didn't write anything. I just left it alone. Am I thinking it? Yeah, but I didn't write it. I just, I don't want to be over there causing dysfunction and division. I just leave it. Let God do it. And, but clearly he felt convicted. Clearly he felt convicted because he felt the need to like speak to it, right? I forgot what he said. It was some nonsense. But he was a man, and this was a pastor, just to give you like a little bit of his background without naming him. I'm never gonna name, but he basically talked about having lived like everybody else, a worldly, crazy life. And then he came out of it and new creation. Now he's a pastor, right? And like, so you understand the mind of the lost man because you were once a lost man. He's not like, some little churchy kid who just grew up churchy and then boom, pastor. No. He was like crazy and wild like the rest of us and then came out of it and then became a pastor. So it was like, I watched him just do his little circle things. And then he was like, he got all defensive when he was talking about why he doesn't like do more for the men. Yeah, I know why he doesn't do more for the men because it doesn't pay anything. It's simple. It doesn't pay anything. Yeah, go get them. Go get them. Go get them. Go get them, bring them into the church, minister to them, disciple them, bring them under your wing, build them up as men of God, and help them so that they can make more disciples, so they can raise kingdom men in the home. But, it's just not lucrative enough. But in the absence of the pastors doing it, the men podcasters are doing it. I'm starting to see these little fires brewing where God is raising up and doing a new thing, in new wineskin. He's just doing a new thing. That's what I'm seeing. And that's where I'm hopeful. When I see some of these reels of how fallen the behavior is, I start to lose hope. But when I see these, it's the regular people that I see God raising up because the church missed it. When I see the regular people being raised up, what I think is happening is this is the long game for what the new church is going to look like. I think the old church at some point could totally become obsolete. You heard it here. And I don't wish that, but the old version of the church building, Sunday, blah, 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 the old church may eventually become obsolete. Why? Because you got mismatched demographics. You don't even have men for the women to go into the church and marry. Women can't go to their hometown and get married. The hometown is Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's going to become extinct if there's somebody's not raised up to disciple the men. And so I'm seeing people starting to do it. But they don't have to walk away from God because the building is shaky. They don't have to walk away from God. That's what the new wine is going to, the revelation of the new wine is going to be. You can have your relationship with God. You can read your Bible. You can be discipled. You can have a mentor. You can have a community. You can have fellowship with like-minded believers, and you can have that closeness even without the building, even without the person in the pulpit. You'll figure out where that community of people, your ecclesia, is. You'll figure that out. God will help you figure that out, and He will build it for each person who needs it in their community, however that needs to happen. It may not be a physical building, but He will give right on time what each person needs. That's what I think is going to happen next. That's what I think. But yeah. Anywho, that was a nice ramble. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyways, happy Saturday, folks. I basically was coming on here saying hello. Hi, everybody. Anyways, I'm going to hop off. I don't know when I'm going to do Victory Life podcasting again. Maybe a few weeks. Maybe spring. I said spring. That's what I originally said. But when I have a moment, I'll do this. Anywho's, bye, everybody. Catch you guys next time. Like the video. Comment in the video. Also, yeah, that's it, I think. Happy Sabbath. Okay, everybody. Bye, everyone. I don't even know how to turn off my phone. It's been that long. I honestly don't know how to turn this phone off. I really don't.